Hi there, and welcome to the Salted Pepper, where we cook for real life using real food and we keep it real simple. And I am so excited about today's recipe because we are gonna make a guiltless fettuccine Alfredo with shrimp. And we're not gonna use fettuccine noodles, and we're not gonna use a ton of heavy cream or flour or butter, anything like that. We're gonna use a magical ingredient, cauliflower. And I happen to love cauliflower, but even if you don't, give this recipe a try because the flavors in this sauce are so perfect and you won't know that there's cauliflower in it. So what I have here is one like medium-sized head of cauliflower, which is about 1.5 pounds once I took it off the stem, or about 4 cups. And you can see that the cauliflower florets, I don't make them super small or anything. We're gonna put it under pressure, so no need to be specific about size here. I've got some that are small, some that are bigger, but they're just cut off, and we're gonna dump that right in to the inner pot of the Ninja Foodi. Add in 1 cup of plain water. Now you could also use chicken stock for this, but I chose to keep it more on the vegetarian side, and so I'm gonna use a vegetable base here. And I'm gonna use 1/2 tablespoon. I love this vegetable base by Miners. I use it in a lot of my recipes. It's absolutely delicious, gives tons of flavor. But of course, you absolutely can use chicken stock for this as well. All right, and then we're gonna add in just 1/2 teaspoon of salt. This is sea salt, fine grind sea salt. There we go. And then the last ingredient to start off this dish, see how easy it is? I mean, literally dump, and then we're gonna pressure cook it, is I have a bulb of roasted garlic here, and I'm just gonna take this out. Now this garlic I made the other day, so it's, it's chilled. I got it out of the refrigerator, so I do have to peel it. But when it's warm, you can usually just squeeze it, and the little cloves will come out, kind of like they're doing here. And then I'm just gonna pick those out and put them into this dish. Let me get the rest out. This adds a ton of flavor, so don't skip this step. Roast that garlic. It's super easy, and I will have the recipe in the written instructions for this, as well as I have it in my spaghetti recipe because it adds a ton of flavor, and I will link to that spaghetti recipe right up there. Now that uses traditional noodles, so it's not quite as guiltless, but it's a delicious recipe. All right, let me make sure I get all of these out here. I mean, the roasted garlic, it smells amazing. It's so wonderful to cook with. Make sure you don't get any of the paper. We don't want any of the paper there. All right, so now we're just gonna put on the pressure lid, and we're gonna go under pressure, high pressure, for 10 minutes. So make sure that the valve in the back is to the seal position. Turn the Ninja Foodi on. And we're gonna select the pressure. High is what we want. And you can just hit start. It will default to 10 minutes, so that's what we want. So we're gonna pressure cook for 10 minutes, then we'll do an immediate release. While that's pressure cooking, I've got some shrimp, 1 pound of large shrimp thawing, and I'm gonna go ahead and take the shells off of those. Now remember, don't throw those shells away. Store them in the freezer until you have a good size, like a couple pounds of them, and then make your own shrimp stock, and then turn that into shrimp scampi. And I'll link to that video recipe right up there. So the Ninja Foodi came up to pressure really quick. I would say maybe 5 to 7 minutes at the most. And now we are halfway through the countdown, which gave me enough time to peel the shrimp that we're gonna use in this recipe. And also I grated 1/2 cup of Asiago cheese, which is a hard cheese, really great flavor. I encourage you to use this type of cheese in this recipe, but you could also use Parmesan if you couldn't find the Asiago, but it really gives this great flavor. Parmesan would work too, though, of course. So to make this guiltless fettuccine Alfredo with shrimp, we are going to use zucchini in place of our noodles. And this is something that my husband and I love to do, and we use zoodles a lot in our dishes. So I wanted to definitely go over how easy it is, especially when you have this cool little contraption called the veggie strip maker. So I'm just going to take the ends off of the washed zucchini. Now, when you're picking out a zucchini for zoodles, you want to get one that's as uniform in shape as you can, and that is probably no bigger in diameter than this is, which is about the size of a $50, maybe just a little bit bigger than that. When you get into the really large zucchinis or squash, you might think, oh, I'm going to get more noodles out of this. But in fact, you won't, because what has happened is inside the seeds have really started to develop, and it's just going to be really seedy on the inside, and that does not make for a good zoodle. So you want to find one that is like this. A younger zucchini is better. So this is a veggie strip maker. Now, if you have a spiralizer or any type of other contraption that you can use to make zoodles, then go for it. But this, I found, is the easiest. It's plastic. It's really lightweight. It slips in the drawer. It's dishwasher safe. And I just put my zucchini on, go this way, and then back up. So I'm making zoodles going up and down, and they are beautiful. Now, you can't adjust the size of them. It's one size, but they are perfect for a fettuccine. I mean, like, perfect size. So I find that these cook up really nice as well. Now, if you don't have a spiralizer or a veggie strip maker, don't worry, you can still do this. But what you're going to want to do is take your knife and take really thin strips all the way down the length of the zucchini or squash, because you could use either. So once you get these little thin strips, then just make your noodles. Takes a little bit longer, but the end result is just fine. And there you go. And they're perfect. It's about I would say maybe a quarter of an inch, maybe an eighth of an inch by an eighth of an inch. So you do want them small, but you don't want them so small that they fall apart while they're cooking. So all right, let me just finish this one up, and then I'm gonna go ahead and finish making all the noodles. All right, perfect. Let's see, we just have about 40 seconds to go. So when you're making, if you're using something like this, you're gonna take it down until you can start to see the inner part of the zucchini, the seeds here. And then we wanna flip it over, because we really wanna get the outside. That's what's gonna hold up when we make our noodles. Otherwise, they can become kind of mushy. So I'm just gonna keep going here. Now this is just one zucchini. And keep in mind that it will cook down, okay? So it might look like, oh my gosh, that's a ton. That'll feed 4 people. No, it won't. It'll probably feed 2 people at the most. So plan on 1 zucchini for 2 people after they start to reduce. And that's what I'm doing. I'm just doing 1 today, but you could do 2, 3, 4, however many you want. All right, let's go ahead and hit the release valve. All right, so the red valve has depressed, and we can open up the lid, and I finished doing my zoodles with the veggie strip maker. And then I thought, you know what? I should have done these before and cut these into bite-sized pieces and thrown them in with the cauliflower to be part of our sauce. That would have been delicious. Next time I will definitely do that. I just didn't think of it this time. All right, so we can go ahead and remove the lid here. Do that away from you always, because the steam can be hot. Believe it or not, it smells amazing already. So the next step that we have to do is get this into a cream. And there's several different ways that you can do it. I'm gonna be using an immersion blender like this one, and I'm gonna do it right in the inner pot. And I know probably you're screaming at me like, no, you're gonna scratch it up. Well, I'm gonna be really careful, okay? So I'm not gonna set this part on the bottom. I'm gonna tilt the pot, and I'm gonna go ahead and blend it. The blades will never hit the bottom of the pot. You don't have to worry about that. And some of these actually are plastic on the end. And so that would be certainly safe for the inner pot of the Ninja Foodi. But if you want to use your immersion blender, if you have one, and you don't want to run the risk of hurting the pot, just transfer it into something that's deep. When you're doing any kind of blending with an immersion blender, you want it to be deep so that the attachment can fit down so you don't have spray going everywhere. Trust me, I have made that mistake more than once. The other thing you could do is put it into a blender or a food processor. It's not gonna take any effort, so you don't need any high-powered tools. You could even probably use a hand mixer, honestly. But don't do that in the inner pot because that will scratch it. All right, so before I get to doing the blending for our cauliflower cream, I'm gonna go ahead and put these zucchini noodles into a 6-inch Fat Daddy-O pan. Now, if you have more than what I have here, you could also use an 8-inch. This should be fine. Because we're gonna go ahead and cook these when we are cooking the shrimp. So, all right, now I have my gloves here. So let me get those on. In fact, I only need one of them right now. So let me just do that. These gloves are awesome. I absolutely adore them. My mom gave them to me years and years ago when I owned my barbecue restaurant. And I'll tell you that you can bleach them. So these have been through the ringer, let me tell you, and they are great. Never, ever have I burned myself using them. Now, just to make it a little bit easier, I think I'm gonna go ahead and take the pot out. You don't have to do that, but I'm gonna go ahead and do it. And then tilt it towards you, put the immersion blender down into the liquid, and just turn it on. And I'm gonna just do it pulsing a little bit. So I'm gonna turn this around so that you can see what I'm doing here. And again, I'm not putting this on the bottom of the pot because I don't want it to damage the pot at all. I'm just putting it down into the liquid, and it's really working. So I'm stirring it around a little bit just to see. There was a little bit of that vegetable base on the bottom. I want to get that incorporated in so that it's got all that great flavor. Okay, I'm gonna do this towards me so I have more control because I do not want to scratch my pot. It smells so good. It's unbelievable. So just continue to process it until you get the desired consistency that you want, which is like a cream sauce basically is what we're making. All right, so I'm gonna take this little guy off of here. Set that to the side. And I'll set that over here. And now let's get the pot back in. So we've got this beautiful, just velvety, thick sauce. And I'm telling you guys, it looks like we made a roux, which is the basis for a lot of cream sauces. So you could do so much with this basic recipe right now as it is. I mean, you could put pesto in it and maybe a little bit of cheese, maybe not. Put the pesto in, put it over your chicken to make a chicken pesto. I mean, really, you could do anything with it right now. I'm thinking it would freeze well too. I've never had it around long enough because we usually eat it. So I have never had the chance to freeze it, but I think that it would freeze really well. And then when you wanted a little cream sauce, you could just get it out and use it in your dish. The other thing this would be great for, believe it or not, would be as the base for a creamy mac and cheese. So you wouldn't have the flour and the butter and some of those kind of ingredients. You'd still have the noodles, of course, because I have not figured out how to make elbow macaroni out of vegetables, but trust me, I have been working on it. But if you put some cheddar cheese in here or any kind of cheese you like, it would be so creamy and so delicious with your macaroni and cheese. I can think of probably 10 more things to do with this. And trust me, you're gonna be seeing more with the cauliflower cream. It is fantastic. All right, so now it's time to get in the rest of our ingredients. And I've got that pound of shrimp that I've already cleaned and taken the shells off. I've got a half of a cup of the Asiago cheese, or you could use Parmesan. That's gonna go right in there, just like that. And then I also have half of a cup of heavy cream. Now this does add some calories for sure. You could really get away without using it, but you would need to put some more chicken stock or some more water to thin this out just a tad. Or you could use milk or skim milk or anything that you like. You could cut the quantity back. I mean, this is just what I think makes this Alfredo sauce so delicious without all of the calories. So that's why I went with that. All right, so let's give this a stir around. And this is when you kind of want to check for consistency. So if it's still too thick and you want it a little bit thinner of a sauce, go ahead and add in some more heavy cream or milk, or you could add in some vegetable stock or chicken stock or whatever. But I'm going to leave it alone here. I think it looks pretty good. You could also taste it at this point to see if you think you need more cheese, if you think you need more salt, if you wanted to add black pepper. Now's the time to do all of that. But it looks really good. I mean, I think this is going to be great over our zucchini noodles. So let's put in the shrimp. Now the shrimp's going to also give a little bit of liquid off while it cooks. So that will thin that out some. All right, so we're just gonna bury all the shrimp just to make sure that they get cooked through. And now let's get this dish finished up. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the rack down right on top of the sauce there. I'm just gonna take a little bit of salt. I like a little pepper on mine. You could use pepper or not use pepper, that's up to you. And then finally what I do is just spritz a little bit with some oil. Just on top, and then I'll take some tongs and sort of move them around. I could almost get away with that 8-inch pan. This is pretty full, but they will decrease in size as they cook. All right, that looks good. So now I'm just gonna pop this right in here. We're gonna put the Tender Crisp lid down, and we're gonna set the broil for 10 minutes. Now, it's probably not going to take 10 minutes. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's not, but I just set it for 10 minutes and then I'll check it in about 3 to 4 minutes and just see, kind of move those zucchini noodles around a little bit, see how the shrimp's doing on the bottom, and then we'll be ready to plate and ready to eat. All right, so it's been about 5 minutes. Now, I've already flipped them around once and tasted just to see what the texture was like, and they needed to go a little bit longer. And of course, this is a personal preference too. I like my zucchini noodles a little bit on the, let's call it al dente or firmer side. So I don't cook them as long. If you like them softer, cook them a little bit longer. Now these look like they're doing really well, but I think they still have a few minutes to go. So who knows, maybe we'll go the whole 10 minutes. All right, so we're gonna go back down and let them keep broiling. Now I'm not getting any color on them or anything like that. That's not the intent. I just wanted a high heat in there, keep that sauce hot, which is gonna cook that shrimp, and then also cook those zucchini noodles perfectly for us. All right, so I've let this cook another 1.5 to 2 minutes. So let me go ahead and take a look. And I can see that the volume has decreased quite a bit in here. And I think we're ready to go. These look good the way that I like them. Of course, you can continue to cook them to the way you like them. Or you can take them out sooner if you want them even less done. All right, so let's get on my Mickey Mouse gloves, as my husband calls them. And get out our zoodles. And then we need to get our rack out. Now I'm just gonna put this over on the other side. For now, you can put it on a plate. And let's look at what our shrimp is doing. And they are cooked as well. So see, that quick. That is awesome. Now, if your shrimp are bigger, they might take a little bit longer to cook. If they're a little smaller, they might take a little less time to cook, but they're not gonna overcook. It's not high enough heat to overcook them. They're just gently cooking in that hot sauce. So that's perfect. All right, let's see, can I move that now? I can. All right, so let's get plated up here. I'm just moving this around a little bit. I see one shrimp that I think needs to cook a little bit longer. That's okay. If they're not done, just put the lid down. You don't even need to turn the broil back on. Just put the lid down and the residual heat will finish cooking the shrimp. All right, so let's get our plate made up. I love eating meals like this where you feel like you're indulging, but you're honestly, not. This whole dish here is less than 300 calories, and that's based on 4 servings. So definitely there's 4 servings in this bowl for sure. All right, let's get out the shrimp and the Alfredo. Look at that, wow. Cauliflower, guys, cauliflower. It's magical, I tell ya. All right, I'm a cheeseaholic. I love cheese. I'm gonna put some Parm on top of mine. And even some cracked black pepper would be good. Maybe some red pepper flakes if you like it really spicy. So this is your dish, make it how you like it. Definitely give this cauliflower cream a try though. It is so good. All right. Let's get the noodles with the cream. I would never know that this wasn't a cream-based sauce, seriously. Now, I love cauliflower, but I don't really taste cauliflower in this. I taste indulgence, really. And you don't even have to feel guilty about eating this. All right, let's see if the shrimp are cooked. Let's get a little bit with some of these zoodles here. They look perfect. Try not to make a mess. All right, here we go. Perfectly cooked. Wow. I really can't say enough about this dish. It is so delicious. I really hope you give it a try. It is a little different, but it is absolutely phenomenal. And remember, you could use this base cream sauce for a gazillion different types of recipes. I was just thinking of one that you could do. Make the cauliflower cream sauce, put it with Swiss cheese, then make a chicken cordon bleu and use that as the cream sauce over top. Wouldn't that be delicious? As always, make it yours and make it delicious.